Well, that was very, very bad. I mean, there's not a whole lot of sugarcoating to this one. Tennessee was embarrassed offensively on the road, and there's a lot of questions. What now for Tennessee Volunteers college football playoffs? What now for the offense? We're going to discuss it all. We're going to talk about it here on a Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys for joining me here today. This episode is brought to you in part by Gametime. You can download the Gametime app, create an account, put in the promo code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Coming to you from the road. I am, at the time of this recording, I'm still in Fayetteville trying to get this show recorded before I hit the plane. So if the audio sounds a little bit different, I'm on my road kits. I'm broadcasting straight into a wall, so there might be a little bit of a reverb there. I do apologize. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see where I'm at. But we're gonna reset this for a couple of days, and we're gonna decide kind of what went wrong, and we're gonna kind of have an open mic night, right? I mean, tomorrow's Twitter Tuesday, mailbag show. Please send me in your questions, all your concerns. Let's talk about it, okay? I encourage you, @_Cain or @Locked On Vols. Send them in. We need to talk about this, and we need to try to figure it out together, right? Because that was a really, really bad loss to Tennessee for Tennessee. Now, does that mean the season is over? Absolutely not. You were in the 12-team college football playoff era. Alabama just lost to Vanderbilt. So, yes, Saturday was bad, and if you want to be mad and upset, more power to you. Could be worse, right? Missouri was getting its brains beat in by Texas A&M 34-0 in the second half. We know about Georgia and how Georgia allows teams to play with it. And, of course, lost to Alabama last week. Alabama turns around and loses to Vanderbilt this week. Ole Miss, of course, lost to Kentucky last week. I mean, we can go on and on and on, right? I mean, the season is not over. But, boy, there are some alarming things from this Tennessee-Arkansas game. And, yeah, but I mean, I'll get out in front of it. I mean, heck, Hogs fans, jump in my comments, guys. You guys deserve it. I thought Tennessee would roll. I thought Tennessee would absolutely roll in the second half. Never thought it would be easy because I knew that environment would be pretty good. But I thought Tennessee would roll. So, that's a huge win for Sam Pittman, huge win for Arkansas. But, over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to talk about this disappointment. We're going to talk about how the season's not over. I'm going to tell you about my big three that I think from this football game, kind of three of my biggest takeaways. We'll hear scoring plays both for for Arkansas and Tennessee, kind of give a game story, if you will, in segment 2, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network, and we'll get into some grades and some stats in segment number 3. But more than anything, it was just disappointing because Tennessee was shut out in the first half. First time that's ever happened in the Josh Heupel era. That's the first time in program history it's happened since 2019 when Tennessee was blanked in the first half against Florida. I believe that game was on the road at Florida. So, yeah, I mean, that's not a common occurrence. That was not very good. You had Arkansas that held the ball for 9 minutes and change on its first offensive possession of the football game, very much like NC State. NC State didn't hold it nearly as long as what Arkansas did, but Tennessee's defense couldn't get off the field. You had 2 third-down conversions that extended drives. You had a penalty that extended the drive there for Tennessee's defense, I believe, on that first drive. But the motto of the night for Tim Banks' defense, bend but didn't break. Tennessee got off the field allowing only 3 points. In that first drive of the football game, and that is a huge win for Tennessee. Tennessee would later go on and make 2 fourth-down stops in the first half, would benefit from a missed field goal for Arkansas, and despite the offensive struggles, man, Tennessee was down only 3-0 at halftime, and I mean, how about that as a halftime score, 3-0? I mean, that's pathetic. But anyway, the game was still very much there for the taking. And Tennessee, if you didn't watch the first half and you came in and tuned in at halftime, you wouldn't understand Tennessee's struggles offensively because they marched right out of the gate, 76 yards total on offense did Tennessee get in the first half, picked up 75 on the first drive of the second half, marched down the field, benefiting from a 53-yard scamper from Dylan Sampson, punching it in. Tennessee gets 3. Okay. Tennessee's, forces a 3 and out. Tennessee gets the football again, marches right down the field. And, we'll hear it all here in a moment. And Tennessee takes a 14-3 lead. So you're like, okay, well, Tennessee has control of this football game, but, that was it offensively. I mean, what an embarrassment offensively. Tennessee could not get anything going on that side of the football. And, I truly do believe Tennessee changed its game plan against Oklahoma in the second half because the defense was playing lights out and you had a run game and they still took shots and still connected on a few shots. Let's remember here. But I truly do. Give Oklahoma credit because they were wearing down Tennessee's offensive tackles. But I do think it was Tennessee changing the way it wanted to approach that game in the second half. This go around, Tennessee just didn't have any answers. Pass protection was abysmal. And everybody's going to point to the offensive line. The offensive line. I'm going to hopefully watch the game when I'm on the flight back this afternoon, and I can get a better sense of it and make some notes. But I went back in real time. There was a sack in the first quarter. It was on the tight end. 2 sacks is on Deshaun Bishop. 1 sack was on Dylan Sampson. It is not just the offensive line, okay? It is the tight ends and running backs in pass protection. You're calling 6, 7, sometimes 8 men protections, and it's not getting it done. Tennessee had no answer whatsoever for Arkansas's pressure, and that's the basis of this team's issues right now, is because people want to say, oh, well, Josh Heupel's calling a lazy and non-aggressive game on offense, and Joey Halzle. I think there's something to that. But I also think that Tennessee can't protect Nico Iamaleava right now. And I'm not here to say that Nico had a good game because he did not. And I'll get to the final play of the game and to some of his struggles. He missed some open players. He held on to the football too long. I thought Nico had a bad game. But also, Tennessee can't protect him right now, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the running back. So, yeah, be critical of the offensive line. I invite you to. But, no, it's not just them. Man, the running backs and the tight ends are very much in that conversation. But why is that? Dylan Sampson referenced after the game that they were playing a lot of 3-3 stack, and this is a common theme, right? Common theme. Defenses shift to a 3-3 stack against Tennessee, and Tennessee's offense just seemingly has no answers. Missouri did it last year. You had NC State that did it this year, and Tennessee handled it. Tennessee ran for about 300 yards on the day, but it's that odd man front 3, front drop 8. And Tennessee just doesn't have an answer for that in the passing game. And you saw it again here. And it's all about when you run that 3 stack on the road, it's the center has to go up and call his protection, right? So Cooper May sets the protection every single time. I was talking with a former Tennessee player after the game, and I'm going to admit his name, obviously, but I just want to be like, hey, why does the 3 stack give the offensive line issues? Well, it's really loud on the road. And with a 3 stack, you got to go out there, and the center's got to call his man, and then the guard's got to call his man, then the tackle's got to call his man, then the running back's got to call his man to set up the pass pro. Well, when you can't communicate because it's loud, there's some issues there. There was one time where Deshaun Bishop didn't even look to the right side when there was an overload, and Nico got sacked. And that it's because Deshaun Bishop didn't know that was his man because it was a lack of communication. So just stuff like that. I think the 3-3 stack really hinders the communication for this offensive line and this offense overall. And I think that's where the basis of it's from. And Tennessee's got to find an answer for that. Tennessee has got to find an answer for that because here's the hard, cold truth right here. 3rd straight year, Tennessee has lost to an unranked team on the road. Tennessee absolutely has a road problem under Josh Heupel. You thought you kind of got that monkey off your back a little bit last week against Oklahoma, but here we are again, 2 weeks later, the very next game. Tennessee's got an issue on the road, and that's got to be fixed because good football teams can win on the road. I did not think Tennessee handled the environment as best as it could. I don't think it was awful, like Florida awful last year, but there were some false starts penalty. I thought Lance Hurd looked like he hadn't played football in a month. I thought John Campbell was not very good. I already mentioned about Nico. I thought the receivers had issues getting separation. And defensively, was it perfect? No, it was not. But by golly, what's up, Jeff County? You put your defense out there time in and time out that says, okay, win this game for us. Okay, win this game for us. Okay, win this game for us. It can't come through for you every single time. You should not expect 14 points to be enough to win you a football game. I mean, abysmal, horrendous, embarrassing. That's what that Tennessee offense was yesterday. And Josh Heupel and Joey Halzle have got to find some answers. And specifically, you've got to find some answers against that odd man front 3-3 stack. The communication has got to be better because your O-line and your running backs were lost in pass pro. Just really, really bad all the way around yesterday. There's no way to spin it. So defense, was it perfect? No. But did defense play good enough to win this game? Yeah. About 10 times this defense played good enough to win this game. Bend but not break. If not for the defense, you wouldn't even had an opportunity to win this game. You wouldn't have even had an opportunity to hold a 11-point lead, a 4-point lead, and a 1-point lead at 3 separate occasions in the fourth quarter. Wouldn't even have that opportunity. So just at the end of the day, it's just disappointing. It is just disappointing, this loss for Tennessee. We're going to hear the scoring plays in segment 2. We'll talk a little stats, Cain grades, and what now as we continue on here on a Monday show. Again, I encourage you, send them in. Let's have open mic night, right? Open mic night, right? Let's talk about it. Let's go through it. @_Cain or @LockedOnVols on the YouTube channel. Send in those questions. Send in your concerns. I know you've got a lot here. All that and more we'll continue on here on a Monday Locked On Vols, and Tuesday we'll answer your questions here on the show. Hey, when we come back, again, scoring plays, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. That's coming up next as we continue on here with the Monday Locked On Vols. I want to tell you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the professionals that is right for your team, faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just like another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're truly looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses can find qualified candidates within 24 hours. Hire a professional like a professional on LinkedIn, because 2.5 million small businesses are currently doing just that over at LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions, well, they do apply. All right, welcome back in here to your Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Disappointing 19-14 loss for Tennessee. A game on the road at Arkansas where we said all last week that Taylen Green's going to make some plays. Jaquan Jackson's going to make some plays. You can't let him take over the game. Tennessee's got to punch back, and the defense continued to punch back, but the offense had no answer. Tennessee has a protection problem. Tennessee has an offensive problem right now. Dylan Sampson continues to do all that he can in the run game, but Tennessee's got an issue right now. And I understand, the first loss of the year, okay, it's always the worst. And it seems like there's, again, like I said in segment 1, this is the third loss in as many years to an unranked opponent on the road. So sticks, stones, message boards, Twitter, Tennessee's awful, fire Heupel, fire Ellerby, fire Pope, fire Nico. I get it. I'm not telling you how to fan, all right? Especially in this era where it's a collective-driven sport, and when fans are given their time, their money, and literally their monetary needs to the pro. I'm not telling you how to fan. That is not my job to do whatsoever. I would encourage you to say, hey, this isn't going anywhere. And it's you're in for a long haul if you're gonna live on this every single football game. But we knew the first bad game for Nico. We knew the first turnover. We knew the first loss. So $8 million, what an investment. Demand a refund. We knew all that was coming. We knew it was all coming. But it's funny. It's funny because you can take a bunch of my clips last week and say, "Oh, well, you're an idiot, Eric, and you don't know what you're talking about." And that's why you play the game, right? That's why you go out there and play the game. It's just some of the reactions always kind of funny. But at the end of the day, I guess what I'm trying to get at here, Tennessee deserved to lose this game, point blank, because offensively you had no pulse, and it was so bad, and it was so embarrassing. Plus, these stupid mistakes. Okay, before I get into scoring plays, these stupid mistakes. Jordan Ross running into the kicker. People say, oh, he was pushed. Oh, he was pushed. I need to go back and watch it. But, guys, and Josh Heupel confirmed it after the game, that was not a punt block. I got news for you as well. His block punt, scoop and score touchdown against UTC, that was not a block punt. That was not a call block punt. That was him going and just doing it. And I've been in that situation before, way back in the day. Leather helmets, right? 1-bar face mask, just kidding, not that far ago. And I'm going, and it's a regular return, but you got a little alley there, and you want to go block that kick, and you run into the kicker, and you get flagged, and you get in trouble, right? I've been in that situation before. I get it. And I'm not trying to hound the kid because he's a young kid. He's going to be a good player, and he's going to learn from this. But your defense once again got you off the field. Your defense once again did its job. And you run into the kicker, and you put the defense back onto the field, and that results in points. resulted in some huge points. They went down and kicked a field goal, made it a 1-point game. So Jordan Ross's running into the kicker, horrific penalty. A really, really bad penalty. Nico Iamaleava, last play of the game, running out of bounds. I mean, oh my goodness. I said it after 2021, Ole Miss with Joe Milton, and I'll say it again. Again, I like Nico. I still think Nico is going to be really, really good. He had a horrible day yesterday. He had a bad day. I'm not taking anything. I'm not taking unnecessary shots at him. I'm talking about the play. Just the lowest football IQ play imaginable. I said the same thing about Joe Milton at the end of the Ole Miss game, and I'm going to say it here. The lowest football IQ play that you can make in that situation. And Nico, after the game, said he was looking at Chris Brazzell, and the ball was slipping a little bit in his hand. He's got to do a better job of holding on to the ball. I don't know what all that means, because you were running out of bounds. You have got to give yourself an opportunity. And there was a timeout before that play, okay? And maybe it's football. I wrote this. Maybe it's football 101. Maybe there's no need for an explanation. But having seen that in 2021 and then seeing it last night, maybe I'm wrong. You've got to remind him. You have got to remind him in that timeout, like, hey, you got to throw it up no matter what. Hey, there's 6 seconds on the clock. This is 4th down. We're not going to have time to throw a quick out, most likely, catch it, secure it, get out of bounds, stop the clock, and run one more play. This is going to be it. So throw it to the end zone, give your guy a chance. Those had to be constant reminders, and maybe they were. I'm not in that huddle. I don't have a communication thing in my helmet. Maybe they were, okay? But oh my goodness, what are we doing here? Just a horrendous dumb football play right there. And again, I'm not trying to pile on, but hey, I call it like it is, okay? That's what I hope you guys respect about me. You know, I try to call it as it is. And that was really, really bad. And I hope Nico learns from this, and I hope that he's better for this. But that was a bad football play. And what makes it worse is you literally had a timeout leading into it, okay? On the drive prior to trying to go down and win the last offensive possession when you had the lead, okay? Tennessee snapping the football with 15, 16, 17 seconds left on the play clock. What are you doing? Like, oh my God, drain the clock. Like, that's football coaching 101. Sure, you want to be aggressive and all that, but play smart. Last week or 2 weeks ago, when your defense was balling out and your run game was going there late in the football game, you leaned on it. Good job, hat tip. Run the clock out, dude. Like what are you doing snapping the football with 15 seconds? And, oh, yeah, you have the in-helmet communication. All these reminders could be sitting in there. So I thought coaching was just horrendous in this football game. All right, sorry to get off on this tangent. Let's go in here to the scoring plays. How it sounded, courtesy of the Ball Radio Network. I have written permission and verbal permission to play these clips here on Locked On Vols. So let's hear how it sounded from Bob Kessling. Bob Kessling, do it every week. Bob Kessling, and it was actually Jeff Francis this week in the Vol Radio booth alongside Brent Hubbs. It was a 9-minute drive and some change, and it was a 20-yard field goal from Kyle Ramsey that put Arkansas up on the scoreboard first, 3-0, courtesy of this 20-yard field goal.
This will be a 20-yard attempt from the right hash. Snap down, kick on the way, and that kick is good.
Again, give Tennessee's defense credit for allowing only 3 points in that situation. Unfortunately, those were the only points scored on either side in the first half. Tennessee went into the halftime break trailing 3-0, being shut out in the first half time under Josh Heupel, and the first time in program history since 2019 in Florida. Well, again, like I said, if you didn't watch the first half, you just tuned in to halftime, watch the second half, you'd be like, man, what's going on with Tennessee? I mean, they look great, right? Marching down the field. Tennessee had 76 yards of total offense combined in the first half. Tennessee got 75 on the first series of the second half that ended in a Dylan Sampson 4-yard touchdown run. Tennessee grabbed the lead at 7-3.
Nico out of the shotgun. Waits for the snap, gets it, hands it to Sampson, and he sprints into the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee. A 4-yard sprint by Dylan Sampson set up after his long run to get Tennessee a 1st and goal at the 4. And Sampson scores his 11th rushing touchdown of the season. He ran right behind Cooper Mays into the end zone, and the Volunteers now get on the board and lead 6-3.
Yeah, it was a 53-yard run that set things up inside the 5-yard line for Tennessee. 53 yards on the ground on that one chunk play, one of the few explosive plays in the football game. Former Tennessee Volunteer Nico Slaughter actually chased him down and saved the touchdown, but of course, Sampson punched it in a couple of plays later. Well, you heard Bob Kessling there. That was the 11th rushing touchdown of the season for Dylan Sampson. Rushing touchdown number 12 of the year came on the next possession, a possession where a couple of costly personal foul penalties kept the drive alive for Tennessee, allowed Tennessee to pick up some chunk yards, and of course, Dylan Sampson did it again, 4 yards yet again, making it 14-3 over Arkansas.
Back quickly to the line of scrimmage. Handoff against Sampson, up the middle, fighting, and he's in for a Tennessee touchdown. Dylan Sampson hit at the line of scrimmage, bounced off a couple of Razorbacks, fell into the end zone, and the Vols have scored twice here in the third quarter. Both touchdowns by Dylan Sampson. And Tennessee now leads the Arkansas Razorbacks with a strong second-half start as Tennessee has pushed the lead to 13-3.
And at that point in time, man, you really thought that Tennessee took control of the football game because points were so hard to come by. So you thought, like, hey, an 11-point lead might be too much, for Arkansas to come back with. But, I mean, there was some time, and Arkansas chipped away. Tennessee scored, but Arkansas answered right back, went down the field on the ensuing possession, 75 yards on 8 plays. This was a drive that I think is underrated, especially for Arkansas in this football game, because this drive really, it was kind of like, and we won't back down. I mean, that's kind of what this drive embodied, right? They went in, punched it in, saying, hey, we're not going to go without a fight. Jaquindon Jackson jumped in 2 yards to make it a 14-10 deficit for the Razorbacks. Here's how it sounded, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network.
Double wing formation, 2 tight ends out there. They're going to hand to the tailback, and Jackson fighting for the end zone, and there's the touchdown sign. Jaquindon Jackson right up the middle, power.
All right, and so it's 14-10. Kyle Ramsey, who was 4 for 8 on field goal attempts, 40 to 49 yards entering the game, very inconsistent, something we highlighted on Locked On Vols earlier in the week. He missed a field goal opportunity in the first half, so the next field goal opportunity that Arkansas got, they went with the backup and Shipley. He converted on a 23-yard field goal attempt that was good, 14-13 at that point in time, 12:08 left in the ball.
This to make it a 1-point game. From the 13-yard line, the kick is up on the way, and that kick is good.
Field goal. That field goal only happened because of Jordan Ross's penalty. Tennessee defense did its job, got off the field, and that's that field goal allowed Arkansas to get back to work, and they eventually went down the field, scored 10-play drive, 78 yards, 4:15 off the clock, and it was 14-13. And then Tennessee, tried. The second half. Goodness gracious, second half drive chart after those first 2 touchdowns. First half drive chart was punt, turnover on downs. Second half drive chart was touchdown, great, but then the rest of the game was punt, turnover on downs. Just abysmal. Continued to hang its defense out to dry, and then finally, Arkansas was driving down the field, and Tennessee at the very end did allow Arkansas with a backup quarterback and a backup running back to get in to try and save as much time as possible at 1:17 on the clock, but it was Malachi Singleton that jumped in from 11 yards to give Arkansas the lead once again at 19-14. The 2-point conversion attempt did fail.
Singleton sets his team. Singleton keep it going around the right side, gets to the 5 and gets into the end zone for an Arkansas touchdown. A pickup of 11 yards.
So you had Tennessee playing hard. Boo Carter dove and tried to stop him, but at the very end there at the goal line, and you watch it, Jacoby Thomas does a little Olay and lets him get in, and I'm not going to hammer the guy for it. I mean, Josh Heupel was asked in postgame. He said, yeah, kind of where we were in the football game, thought we'd have the best chance to go back and score, trying to leave as much time on the clock. I mean, I'm not going to hate on that whatsoever. It's a bad look, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to hate on that at all because I think that, yeah, you needed as much time as you could to go down there and score. So that's how the scoring sounded, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. Big thanks to the Vol Radio Network for letting us use that here on the show. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Tennessee, a 19-14 loser on the road at Arkansas. We'll hand out some Cain grades and some stats, all that and more when we return right here on Locked On Vols, your Monday show. Stay tuned. want to tell you guys about my friends over on the Gametime app. Gametime is an app to where you can download and buy tickets to events in your area. It can be sporting events at Neyland Stadium, basketball games at the Food City Center and Thompson Bowling Arena, baseball games at the newly renovated Lindsey Nelson Stadium this spring. It could be concerts at Food City Center or the Bijou Theater downtown or the Tennessee Theater. It can be Tennessee Smokies downtown for baseball this spring. Whatever the case is, tickets to events, not just sporting events, but entertainment events in your area, you can buy tickets on the Gametime app. All-in prices, views from your seat, the lowest price guarantee, where Gametime's going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find a cheaper ticket in the same section on an alternative ticket buying app. All that and more is on the Gametime app or gametime.co. So download the Gametime app, create an account, put in the promo code LockedOnCollege. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, put in the redeem code LockedOnCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, we got a final segment left here of this Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Again, if you're watching us here on YouTube, I'm in the hotel room trying to get ahead of the flights and trying to record this. We'll take all of your questions, all of your concerns on a Tuesday show, so send those in there for the mailbag show at _Cainer at Locked On Vols. Just a lot to get into. Again, I've kind of painted out how I thought how poorly this game was coached, how poorly this game was called by Josh Heupel and Joey Halzle. I've highlighted the struggles that I think Nico faced in this football game. I've highlighted the struggles that I think the offensive line and the running backs, along with the tight ends, really had in pass protection. I'm going to go back and look at all the sacks, but I'm pretty sure the first sack of the game was a tight end's fault. I know that Deshaun Bishop was responsible for probably 2 sacks. I think Dylan Sampson was responsible for at least 1 sack. So it wasn't just the offensive line. I'm not trying to make amends for them, but it was certainly the running backs as well in pass pro. Excuse me. Overall, just a really bad football game. Tennessee, 332 yards of total offense. Arkansas, 434. In the first half alone, you had Arkansas that ran 21 more offensive plays. They possessed the football for 25 more minutes than Tennessee did in terms of this football game in the first half. How in the world does that happen? Well, you hold the football for 20 minutes, sorry. Hold the football for 9 minutes and change, and then you immediately go 3 and out. That's kind of how that happens. But Arkansas ran 74 offensive plays. Tennessee ran 64. Tennessee 156 yards passing, where Arkansas had 297. Tennessee 176 yards rushing. Arkansas 137 yard rushing. Tennessee on third down was 7 of 16. Arkansas was 6 of 15, 2 of which came on the opening possession of the game. Tennessee was 0 for 2 on fourth down. That was a big one. Again, overall, just a really, really crappy football game. I will say this. I thought James Pearce had a heck of a ball game. He missed another sack. I got you there, but he got a sack. He had a tackle on half for loss, and I'm going to go look on Pro Football Focus when I'm done with the show here how many QB pressures and QB hurries he had, because oh my gosh, he was relentless back there. I thought James Pearce had a really, really good game. I thought early in the football game, the linebackers really struggled in their pass coverage. I thought the linebackers really, Aaron Carter, Keenan Peely just getting mixed up, 2 draggers going across the middle of the field, getting mixed up, not syncing, not helping your safety. I thought the linebackers got better as the game went on, but early on in pass coverage, I thought the linebackers did not have a good game. I'm going to go back and watch it. I'll have some more notes on tomorrow's show. Just any way you want to spin it, just not a good football game. Not a good football game. Keenan Peely led the way with 14 tackles. Will Brooks, your safety, had a forced fumble as well. The fumble went out of bounds, though. 10 tackles. James Pearce had 9 tackles. But it was former Tennessee Volunteer Nico Slaughter that led Arkansas with 8 tackles. Overall, quarterback, Nico is going to get a D in this football game. A lot of that, this is my grade, okay? A lot of that grade comes from the final play. Just awful. 16-28, held on the football too long. Missed Squirrel White that would have been a game changer down the field. Squirrel White was open too, just missed him. Again, young quarterback. You're going to learn from this, and I'm not trying to hound on the guy, but not a good game yesterday. He'll get a D for the Cainer grading system for whatever it's worth. Running backs are going to get a C because C- because the running backs were so bad in pass pro. Dylan Sampson again, Deshaun Bishop a couple times, just not good. But Dylan Sampson again, he's getting his 140 yards, pair of touchdowns, 12 rushing touchdowns on the season. Again, 140 yards on the ground. I'll check the stats tomorrow, but I'm sure he's back up to leading the SEC in rushing. He had a good day in that regard. Receivers, I thought that they did not do a very good job of creating separation overall. Thought they had a couple of drops where they could have helped Nico out a little bit. I'll say a C efforts. Offensive line's going to get a D because you just couldn't quite protect your quarterback. Defensive line's going to get a B. Excuse me, I'm getting hoarse as we're about to call it quits here. Defensive line is going to get a B in this football game because I thought just continue to bring it. And I thought made things really difficult for Taylen Green, knocked him out of the football game, actually. Made things difficult for Malachi Singleton when he was in the football game, and he really never looked comfortable. Overall, 7 TFLs in this football game, 2 sacks for Tennessee. Both of those sacks came, with the exception of a half a sack for Christian Harrison. They came from the defensive lineman. James Pearce had 1. David Hobbs had half a sack as well. Defensive line's going to get a B. Linebackers are going to get a C because I think they were lost a little bit in pass pro at times. Defensive backs overall, I think it's going to get a B. Never got beat over the top. Gave up some things right, but rallied to make some tackles. And overall, the defense played well enough to win this football game 3 out of 4 times. I'm not going to go as far as to say, Hugh Freeze saying, well, I love Sam Pittman, but if Tennessee played this game, 9 more times out of 10, they're going to win. I'm not going to go and say that, but I thought this defense played well enough to win this football game very, very much. Coaching gets an F. I've kind of painted that picture numerous times already in the show. I think the coaching was from the offensive play calling to snapping the football with too much time on the clock in the fourth quarter to play calling in general to letting clock management. I thought it was a really, really bad day. Really bad day. So coaching overall, it's going to get an F, in my opinion. Special teams, getting a C. That Jordan Ross penalty was huge. I think Jackson Ross had 1 pretty bad punt, but overall, just kind of a lackluster day. Not good. But the big thing is, where do you go from here? Well, again, Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, okay? Ole Miss lost to Kentucky last week. Missouri got pummeled by Texas A&M. College football, it is a week-by-week thing, okay? 12-team college football playoffs. It is not over. Tennessee needs to win these next 2 games, in my opinion, though, right? 10-2, I think, gets you in. But that means that you've already got 1 loss. So you're going to have to win either against Alabama or Georgia. And both those games are very winnable, still are. But I find it hard to win on the road given this team's track record on the road. I really do. I find it hard to win on the road given this team's track record. So you need to win these next 2 games. Florida's never easy. Getting a little bit of confidence coming in. Actually won as they were a home field underdog on Saturday. Actually won. So they're coming in with a little bit of momentum, but Billy Napier's coaching for his life. He got to get that one and then worry about Alabama afterwards. So Tennessee's kind of put its back against the wall, still controls its own destiny. Don't get me wrong. That's a beautiful thing about the 12-team playoff, but back is against the wall. And we're going to find out, the improvements that you can make and how you're going to respond. But Saturday was ugly, and we'll take your questions, your comments, your concerns on a Locked On Vols Tuesday edition for the Mailbag Show. We'd love to see them. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much for being here and making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. We'll be back for a Tuesday show.